Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You do shows here with the
I
Diva
do.
Burlesque
Yes,
every month.
I do. Every second Friday of every month. I am the resident MC for the Diva Burlesque show that we have here every month.
Well, I admire your host abilities.
Oh,
So
thank
thank
you.
you for being on
Thanks.
my show.
Okay.
And you nail it really well every time.
I mean, I try. I don't know if I can actually put a nail in my nose, but yeah, you know.
Do you want mine?
No, I mean, I got these. They go up far enough.
Well, I just feel like in a hosting position, sometimes we don't really get to know the person behind the host.
That is true. That is true.
And so, you're a staple to this community.
I've been here for a minute, yeah.
And so I think, I've done a bunch of shows with you, like that show that Jesse was
Dr.
talking
Sugar Shane's
about.
House of Sin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Staple to this community.
Well, I mean, I try to hold stuff together. I almost did it. I'm trying real hard not to drop F-bombs, y'all. That is a real challenge for me. So.
Well, we'll forgive her if she does.
Okay, yes.
So, there's the pre-show games for the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right.
And when I hadn't seen it until I came up here for college.
Mhm.
And so I'm pretty sure you were in some of the first Rocky Horror shows
Yes.
that I saw.
Back in 19 Bibbidi Boo, I moved up here to go to, at the time, HSU. And I had been in a Rocky Horror cast in, it was Newport Beach. They moved to Long Beach, like the year I came up here. And like the first thing I did once I moved up here was I joined the cast that was up here. And within a year I was running it, so.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a tendency to come in and take things over.
Well, for the audience,
Yeah.
some of them may not know the experience of Rocky Horror. It's a live performance. It's not one of these. It's not a Zoom meeting. It's not. It has to be done live. I think that's like the specialness of it.
Yeah, traditionally it's the movie is playing and there's a shadow cast like duplicating what's happening on the screen in front of it. And there's also like games beforehand and sometimes in the middle and like a bunch of audience participation throughout the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah, and the first run has one of our most favorite actors, Tim Curry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it got brought to Broadway, and it's a wonderful show. And
Yeah.
so, I don't know, and it's also one of these sort of coming of adolescence sort of things where you get to learn
Yeah.
about yourself
Yeah.
and your body and
I was
sexuality
I
while
was
you're
in high
at the
school
show.
when I found it, and that was a godsend, and it is a absolute godsend for a lot of people who find it at that same time as well. So.
It was most of the motivation for that Dr. Sugar Shake.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to picking your brain on these things because I feel like you, with the activities that you do in this county, you're like a go-to for a lot of sort of drag, burlesque, Rocky Horror, all these sort of things that are important to our community, and they're really popular, especially right now.
There's a lot of performers calling me like the burlesque auntie in town now. I think they're afraid to say grandma and thank God. I would come undone, but like.
Matron.
So,
Ugh. I need you to take that back. Okay. Thank you, right? It's way better.
so Jamie Bondage,
Mm-hmm.
this is your stage name,
It's my
your
stage
persona.
name, yes.
And so, I don't know, just that's a common thing in burlesque. Like, I'm not actually Shay Free Love, I'm Shay Love Freedom Heller, but we have stage names. So
You get a stage name. Yeah.
why Jamie Bondage?
When I started doing burlesque here in Humboldt County, I needed to have an actual stage name, and I'd never really had one before, but I went with Jamie Bondage. It was a good, kind of a combination of two things. There was a great punk band that used to come to town called Pansy Division that had an awesome song called James Bondage, which, it's so funny. And I'm a huge James Bond fan, so I combined it into Jamie Bondage, and have just kind of taken it from there. I'm now using the Outlaw Jamie B as kind of a more family-friendly version of the name. So when I put on events now, the posters will say like the Outlaw Jamie B, because when you're doing all ages events, that reads better than Jamie Bondage says bring your children down to a show. to kind of, you know.
But this is why an interview show is it's interesting to learn all this about you. And I think we can talk about the extensive amount of burlesque and drag shows that are happening in this community.
So many.
But before that, like, I don't know, I have my own take on it, and history will tell we weren't there. But I mean, like, burlesque is an old thing.
Yes.
And maybe you could just tell us what your perspective of, like, where it started and how we got to where we are.
Burlesque really got its start in the turn of the century, and not the one we just had, but like the one before that. And even sometimes even the one kind of before that. But yeah, it was started as part of like the vaudeville sort of scene. There'd be these variety shows, and not only would they have like stand-up comedians and musicians and all these different things, but they would often have a burlesque performer, somebody who was doing the art of the tease. They're taking off things, but you're not really seeing parts. You're not really seeing. It's not like going to the full nude strip clubs in Vegas. You're not seeing things.
The dance of the seven veils.
I mean, well, that was the big one. Actually, yeah, that was a real dance. It was a huge deal to be able to see long ago. And yeah, it started with that. And a lot of times, burlesque was done as either an act of comedy or an act of a political statement. So that kind of tied into the theme of vaudeville, and people could get away with it because they're like, oh, it's a show and everything's fine. We can laugh about it and not feel weird that we're looking at naked chicks. So.
Yeah. I used to be in burlesque. I was Bobby Band-Aid.
Because that's about the size you needed.
Yeah. Not all flesh tone.
Well, of course, they were for you, but not
But I introduced the transparent Band-Aid, and that was the big blockbuster.
A couple of interesting things in my history of burlesque.
Yes.
In like the Renaissance, in Shakespeare and stuff, they use the term, and in that time, it's like satire, or and this is where the political part comes in. It's sort of like making fun of something. To burlesque, tis a burlesque of the upper class.
It's like a send up, but it's basically another way of saying that. Or
It's more like a verb.
Or,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Coney Island, and Coney Island's a big hot spot for burlesque, and I got to see this woman, Jo Boobs, who she wrote this awesome book on burlesque and the history of burlesque, and she did got to see her host a show there, and what she was talking about is sometime the last turn of the century, the mayor of New York was trying to make prostitution illegal. And so the pasty was invented because the people that were sex workers consensually making their living doing that art form, they embedded the pasty in the merkin so that, we're almost doing the stuff that they were doing before. And so also it's the definition of burlesque. They
You're
were
showing parts,
satirizing.
but not showing parts. Does everyone know what a merkin is? Because I feel like we need to talk about that for a while.
I'm American.
You feel like you want to get it off your chest. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, it's not on your chest. Like pasties are here. The merkin is further south. And to be honest, like I don't even want to know what they used back then to hold it on. I can only imagine the skin damage from it, but I can tell you nowadays what we use to hold on pasties and merkins is not only a hope and a prayer, but a lot of craft spray glue from Elmer's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you put it on, folks. So your performers are really putting themselves out there for you.
So I performed with a lot of burlesque performers in the sideshow and freak show, but this whole pandemic thing has affected everyone. The plague came along and shut everything down. Burlesque, puppet shows. Well, I guess not on Zoom. It was a good time for puppets.
We did some burlesque shows on Zoom. It was a little bit of a hard sell. I mean, we would basically would pre-record an act and then we would kind of play them all.
Right.
Like we do a live show where you could log in and then I would talk and then we would play the videos online. It's a different
not the same.
experience. It's a different experience.
Now, in this community in particular, there's I'm gonna turn the speaking piece over to you, but there's 3 or 4 different burlesque troupes. There's drag. communities
Yep.
doing shows, and so I just it felt like it just exploded after pandemic.
It did.
And so was it just because everyone was practicing in their closet all pandemic and they needed to get out there and get their
Bring on the club.
I mean, yeah, well, we all have at some
Yeah.
point. You will too one day. Yes. There were a lot of troops in town and a little bit of drag shows in town before the pandy started.
Thank you.
But after the pandemic, yeah, I think when we're seeing this, I feel like across the board, people are finally feeling like they can go out, and so you're starting to see shows of all natures and all types of events just like pop off. We're about to hit that part in Humboldt County where like from May through October, there's big events every weekend, like big community events. And then there's individual stuff like every night. And as a promoter, as a producer of shows, you just are like, well, you just throw your stuff on the wall and hope to God it sticks and somebody sees it, because you can't possibly book something without interfering with something that's already happening on a massive scale. So yeah, it's finally, I think 2023, we're finally getting back to that kind of level of events and production in Humboldt County. There are a bunch of burlesque troupes right now. There are a bunch of drag shows right now. There's basically every weekend here in Humboldt, whether it's a Friday or Saturday, or even a Sunday brunch for some, there's a different drag and or burlesque show you can go see at a different type of venue every weekend in this town.
Even at churches.
Well, yes, actually, ironically, that is also happening.
I'm lying.
There are different venues that are old churches, and sometimes they have things that happen there. So, yeah, there's, what else I'm seeing too here in Humboldt, we talked about this on the phone, is I feel like what I'm seeing in Humboldt is a lot of the shows that are drag and or burlesque are actually really merging together, and you're seeing cross-pollination of those art forms at the same show, which is a lot of fun. I think it helps make better shows for people, because you get to see a lot more diversity and a lot more performances that are out there. And some performers take things off and some don't. And some lip sync and some sing live with a microphone. And you get a bunch of different stuff happening at all these shows. And I think that right now, Humboldt, and I'm seeing it too in Chico. We had one of the girls from my troupe move down there, and they're putting on shows that are like drag and burlesque. I see it in San Francisco, LA, seeing it, like it's starting to, I feel like that's where we're going to as a performance community, is this merging together of drag and burlesque. And part of it probably is also that not a lot of venues survived the pandy. A lot of venues shuttered across the nation. And if you wanted to do shows, suddenly the place you've been doing shows for 5 or 6 years is gone into the ether. And so I think we're seeing a lot of people pooling resources and efforts to be able to put on shows at the venues that are left, which I see it here in Humboldt. There's definitely places that aren't open anymore, that don't do things. So it's nice that we have stuff that is opening like this. We get to do a little show every month.
Thanks,
And we had the other venues that have stepped up that never had shows, but are like, oh, here's an opportunity to do something. So yeah, I think I kind of like the fact that this stuff is merging together. I'm sure there are purists out there who are like, I only want drag shows to be just drag queens doing like, death drops and all that. And burlesque shows should just be skinny white girls taking off their clothes, which is like hella boring. I don't know why you just want that. But I think it's better when we can all get along and play well together.
Yeah.
So you have a couple big performances coming up. You wanna just give us the lowdown on the about special events?
So I have 2 big events that I'm putting on over the next, within the next 6 weeks. The first big thing I'm putting on is Goth Day in Ferndale, which is happening at a former church. It's happening at the old steeple in Ferndale, which is a beautiful venue. It's an old Gothic architecture style church with these amazing stained glass windows, and its gate goes into the Ferndale Cemetery. And if you haven't been, you really should. So Goth Day will have really cool vendors from 1 to 6. And then the band, the Pine Box Boys from San Francisco, will be coming up and playing from 7 to 9. So it'll be kind of like an outlaw country murder ballad. They're equal opportunity about killing everyone in their songs. It's great. And that, I feel, is more Ferndale goth. Like country western goth, got it, nailed it. Okay. So that's May 20th in Ferndale, the whole day. The businesses are participating this year. The cemetery board is actually gonna do tours of the cemetery, which is cool, because they didn't do anything last year, but they're gonna do a couple this year. That's gonna be a lot of fun. The other one I'm doing is a show on June 3rd at the Vets Hall here in Arcata. And it's called the Praise God Dragon Burlesque Show.
Praise God.
It's called that because there's this really, I'm gonna say it, I don't care, this really shitty church in Ferndale. Who got some drag shows canceled that were supposed to happen in Ferndale. And they had all 13 members of their congregation were loud enough for the event to get canceled. And they put up a sign the day after that said, "Praise God, drag show canceled." But their really poor use of grammar kind of reads like, "Oh, there's a show called the Praise God Drag Show."
Nice.
Well, guess what? There is now. So I'm doing the show with both drag and burlesque. It is a celebration of the divine within all of us and the gods, both old and new.
Yeah.
At the Arcata Vets Hall, because honestly, if they want to come protest, come do it in front of the Vets Hall and look like a dick. Like, seriously.
Also, people.
The Vets Hall is like all about it. They were like, yeah, bring it. This will be hilarious. So they're being really great and supporting me in this venue. So yeah, June 3rd, we'll put the tickets on sale probably next week. Maybe the week after that. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so when I get back from Vegas, how hungover I am.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come hang out with
Thanks for
us.
having me.
And I wanted to give the audience an opportunity to see you in action as a host. I really think that you're a very
This is
good.
not enough. This is not enough.
Well, I believe you prepared a little.
I mean, I have a game. Does anybody want to play a game?
Yeah.
Okay, before you say yes, I just want to say that I'm going to need 2 people
Yes.
who aren't afraid to put something terrible in their mouths.
What's his name?
Listen. I think you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, it's a taste test guessing game. Ooh, listen to that crowd. They're like, oh, good God, no. Because if no one's
Come
gonna,
on.
what? I can't see. There's,
Really?
really, I just need 2 people, but you're probably gonna bark. I just want to be honest. Okay, I need one more person. So Shay asked me to bring a game because I've had to do so many of them with Rocky Horror and a lot of the burlesque shows and stuff. We have to do a game to like kill time during the show when somebody's chonies won't stay on. We have to So I have this game that I came up with. It's gonna be really bad. I have 3 candy canes. This is for you to stick them up in.
Okay.
I have 3 candy canes. I'm just gonna blind, I think I'm gonna. You know, I'm gonna just blind. Because I don't want you to see the colors, I might give it away. I have 3 horrible tasting candy canes. It's not mint.
Okay, good.
It's not mint.
Good.
It is not of this world. Is anybody vegetarian?
No.
Fantastic. Okay, we're just gonna put this on here. Those totally aren't vaginas on your bandana at all.
I don't need pork. Is this
Um,
gonna be a problem?
no,
Maybe.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Einstein.
That's what he said.
I got you. I'm going to table right now. Okay. So I have these 3 candy canes. The goal is you're just gonna bite into it. I'm gonna leave the plastic on because it's more entertaining for the rest of you.
Oh, God.
Now, to be fair, you're just gonna want to take a little bite because they're all horrible. But I want to see if you can guess what the flavor of it is. You're gonna bite in, probably chew it for about 2 whole seconds, and then I would spit it in the cup if I were you. Let me see this hand right here. Can you do this? We're gonna start strong. Okay. Just yeah, it's plastic. You can't smell it. You're gonna have to just bite into it unless you can open it without seeing it. Yeah, right. I would just bite into that. Just spit the plastic in there. Yeah. Now, I believe if anybody can get these right, we can give whoever gets the most amount right, we can give them tickets to the next show, maybe or something like that.
It's actually not terrible.
Oh my God, seriously?
What?
What do you think it is? Wait, hold on. Red shirt, what do we got? What do you think it is?
The other
I
one.
know, you said there wasn't any bacon, but it does.
It's not
taste
bacon.
like- No, it tastes like a meat, a jerky.
Okay.
Oh.
And what do you got?
Like rotten popcorn.
Wow, okay, actually, you know what? I'm gonna give it to Red Shirt over here. It's actually, here, I brought the boxes. This, that. By the way, you can buy all these at Hensel's Candy Store. It's beef brisket flavored.
I knew it wasn't terrible.
I have an extra one. Does anybody want to throw up there? You need one for okay. So, all right, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Again, these are all terrible, okay? I personally feel that the brisket one is the worst.
Oh,
Okay.
so it's not terrible. Okay.
Well, you know. All right, so you got your next one. Let's rip it and grip it and see if you can tell me what you think this flavor is. I'm going to show the audience the box real quick to see if you can come up with. Don't say it out loud. Do not say this out loud.
Scrubbing.
I have no idea.
All right, Richard, what do you think? Yeah, that's what I think. It's
Earthworm? No, mushroom. It's a
okay.
mushroom, like a
Richard, you
truffle.
barfing?
Truffle.
No,
Okay, what do you think it is?
I'm not barfing, but
You want to barf?
no, it's like
Magic.
like soil.
Okay, actually, good on both of you. But again, Red Shirt, kind of like it's shiitake mushroom.
Yeah. I tasted the mushroom after.
Okay.
It's really hard to distinguish at first.
I know, yeah. No, and what dirt is actually good. I mean, yeah, because it's also like there might be an extra one of those if you want. All right, last, Red Shirt's clearly in the lead. This is now just bonus round. This is bonus round.
You got
It's all right.
These are the
Really?
These are the least offensive of the flavors I purchased that day. I don't know if that helps at all. Least offensive. And I'm just gonna show the audience real quick what we have here.
Ooh.
Butter.
Scrubbing.
Oh, you going back for seconds there, Gray Shirt? That is horrifying.
Come on, you got
on
this
the
one
plastic.
Okay.
You got
Okay, Gray Shirt, you go first. What do you think it is?
Butterscotch.
this. Butter popcorn.
All right, again, Red Shirt for the win. Oh, you're real close, Gray Shirt. It was butter, yeah, just butter. No popcorn. That's closer to the flavor that I feel. So, all right, Red Shirt's gonna get free tickets to the next Something Different show. I'm not sure these are garbage where they belong. And you should be grateful that I didn't bring the sardine flavored one.
Oh my god, that brisket was.
No, the sardines.
pretty
I was
bad.
like, here's some brisket for you.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Can I get another round of applause for Jamie Varney? Look out for all her events.